for your service to our country. We talk about a lot of different parts of the world today, but I'd like to shift a little bit, if I could, to our own neighborhood, the Western Hemisphere. Very important to all of us. I know it is to you. We'll have a congressional delegation. I'll be a part of it going to Peru this weekend for the Summit of the Americas. Mr. Secretary, I know you believe very strongly in soft power, but as you well know, soft power alone can't get the job done. It's no secret that SOUTHCOM is significantly under-resourced to meet the combatant commander's requirements. And in his list of requirements, Admiral Tidd has expressed the necessity of the littoral combat ship in his theater because he believes that small surface combatants are ideal for several missions, including combating drug trafficking, partnership building, and providing support for special forces. Currently, the Coast Guard is the only service providing maritime security in that region. I also believe in order to meet our requirements and provide the necessary support to effectively perform our missions, it's imperative the Navy play an active role in SOUTHCOM. Understanding that we need to invest in our capabilities across the globe, what would be your solution to get the most capability for low cost in the SOUTHCOM region, and specifically within that, how can we provide additional necessary resources to SOUTHCOM, like the LCS, that are ideally situated for the mission requirements in that region?
Right. It has been a prioritization issue. You're laying it out quite accurately, and as has the commander, Admiral Tidd. We are looking at the mix of Coast Guard cutters and LCS right now. As you know, we also have Coast Guard cutters elsewhere in the world. Would those missions be best carried out by the Coast Guard or by Navy LCS, shifting more, for example, cutters into the Caribbean or into the Latin America area? Or do we want to put some of the LCSs into that region? We're looking at this issue as we speak. The chairman owes me some feedback here in the next couple of weeks as we try to sort out the right mix based on the mission. Is it primarily law enforcement? Do they need to have people with badges, which would mean Coast Guard cutters we're going to have to shift and go to the Department of Homeland Security? Or is it LCSs because of the nature of an evolving threat? We don't have the answer yet, sir, but we're working it. We'll have it sorted out very soon.
Well, thank you. General, did you want to respond to that?
The one thing I tell you, Congressman, in the National Defense Strategy, the Secretary has directed me to do something called dynamic force employment. And what that really means is in those areas where we don't have sufficient forces to be forward postured and engaged on a day-to-day basis, to find ways to use the force in a different way to support the combatant commanders. And so that's exactly how we anticipate filling some of the gaps down in the U.S. Southern Command.
My conversations with leaders from some of those countries, they actually are seeking that presence, sometimes only for the symbolic nature of it. Right. But symbols are important. You know that better than I do.
Congressman, I don't think either the Secretary or I would disagree with the desire to increase our presence down in the United States Southern Command. I think, as you understand, one of the challenges we have right now is that our Navy ships, one example I use, I went to visit the USS Barry about 18 months ago, and those sailors had been underway 70% of the time the previous 12 months. So we really do have a requirements, resources mismatch here that, again, we'll be growing a force over time, and Congressman Whitman has left, but that he spoke about the size of the Navy, and if we're about 55 ships or more short of the study that Congressman Whitman identified.
Well, I'm a strong supporter, member of that subcommittee, of rebuilding the fleet. I was a strong supporter before, but now that my daughter's engaged to a young Navy officer who deployed yesterday, I'm in the Navy now, and I want to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to resource you in the appropriate ways so that you can carry out this important mission and at the same time protect those men and women that are wearing our uniform. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Ms. Hanabusa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.